beauty contest is by far the worst. So I'm just gonna level with you. This episode sucks. So season 1, like especially like the first part of season 1, but most of it, if you ask me, even though it's like part of like the good classic shit, I do think that it was like weaker and more off than like everything that came after. Like season 2 was when the show really started to get script when you ask me. But despite that, despite the fact that like a lot of season 1 stuff just feels like off or backwards or not as quality, this one stands out as being a lot worse compared to the other ones, which are all like perfectly watchable. And like the reason for this is just that like the writing and characters are really fucking bad, like at their worst. Like Stu and Lou are just complete fucking stupid stereotypical like men assholes in this one. Like you will fucking go off this one hating them. And Angelica and her parents are at the worst, like they're at their brattiest, they're at their most ignorant and stupid, and the beauty contest itself, they don't really go into at all, like, hey, this shit's not good, it's kind of disgusting. They just kind of treat it as like, yeah, this is stupid shit you have to do to impress a bunch of assholes. And I remember seeing this thing on TV tropes that was kind of a funny way to describe it, where it's like, when you look at the episode, it's like, oh, hey, Tommy, they're having him dress up as a girl and go to this, like, thing that's for girls. And it's like, oh, cool, how progressive of them. But it's like, no, they're just fucking dressing him up against his will to do this. He had no part in it. He has no idea what's going on. And it's just Stu and Lou being, like, fucking selfish and money grubbing. And Dee Dee coming in and yelling at them for having, like, fucking 2 brain cells. And yeah, just, like, it's full of, like, shit like that. Like, this episode even fucking opens up with, like, an offhand, like, slight political joke, for fuck's sake. Incredible storyboard jam. So this has been getting talked about, like, way more as of lately. Like, it's probably been covered to death by now, but I don't want to, like, oversell, like, how, like, disturbing whatever people think this is, or whatever, because if you ask me, it was just, like, the artist fucking around and suddenly having the mind of, like, edgy 11-year-olds. Like, that's straight up what it is. There's really nothing else more to it, and what it is it's just like a never used storyboard that they sketched up with like Stu being like verbally abusive and Tommy trying to kill Angelica and yeah, that kind of shit. And they also like purposely drew them to look as annoying and grotesque as possible. It honestly just kind of annoys me looking at it. But like aside from that, the more interesting part is that this is partially lost media apparently, because they did do more of the storyboard, but it was thrown out like off disgust when other people like from the Wild Thornberrys saw it. And apparently the rest of it was Stu molesting Angelica or something like that. So yeah, maybe this is better off just being lost. And I realize that this video has started out with me being really cynical and mean, and I'm sorry about that, but there shouldn't be any more reason for that from now on. Neo CC Regalia video. So you probably don't know what I'm talking about just from that, and what I'm talking about is this video. Now, if any of you have seen this before, you're like, oh, that, oh my gosh, but if you haven't seen this before, then you must just be confused, and well, I can't really talk about it. You're just going to have to watch the video for yourself. I'll probably link it in the description, but I'll just have you know that to find this classic again after many years, I typed in Rugrats Trippy. Mummified Mr. Friend. This is an Easter egg in Search for Reptar, and it's infamous for scaring a lot of children who stumbled upon it by surprise, and I think it's a really cool secret for them to hide in there despite the terror, because it's so off the way. Like in the golfing level, you have to go into this like pyramid that you have no reason to actually go into and navigate through the whole entire thing. And yeah, he's there at the end, this unique Mr. Friend. I mean, he's so cool. Let's put him in Simpsons vs. Rugrats, even if he would just be a clone of Mr. Friend. I want him on the title screen as joked about. I want him playable. But yeah, another cool detail about this that probably like nobody knew about till they did on Oni Plays is that if you go through the effort of navigating him off the entire maze, he'll actually fall apart once you reach the end of it. It's really cool. Reptar Wagon in Search for Reptar. Another detail in this game, and it's as simple as that, it's just that there's art in the basement of the Reptar Wagon long before we start to see it in any movie trailers or anything, so yeah, that's another interesting thing. Charlotte's secret message. So this is an older now YouTube video that I always found to be pretty interesting. Like, it's nothing super creepy or anything, it's just a cool Easter egg, and unfortunately the original upload of this got like copyright blocked in like certain areas of the world, or possibly everywhere, which is pretty shitty and stupid, but there's at least like one re-upload you can still watch. And there was a comment on the original upload, though, that I always liked and always stuck in my mind, which is like, hey guys, I'm just warning you that you are at the edge of the creepy side of YouTube. Like, either go back now or just stay here or something. And yeah, it's true, because that's like right before you get into like the more weird and dark shit in like cartoons and video games. But all of this was is that you can hear Charlotte on the phone, and it's like edited and high-pitched and stuff like that. But if you were to restore it to it's like how it's normally sounded when it's recorded, then she's saying stuff like, I thought I told him to keep you completely entertained. Can't he follow a simple instruction? Almost each episode takes place the day after another. Yeah, just a really simple theory I came up with this that other people probably thought of, just that if you want this show to like make sense in the context of these 5 seasons and have everything that happens happen while still being able to keep them as like little babies who don't grow or age at all, then yeah, it makes sense to think that like just about every episode takes place like after the other, like the following day. Note how I say almost, because it doesn't have to instantly be for all of them, and it could be like arranged differently. And there's some other episodes that specifically like mention like a span of time, like when Spike ran away and how long he was missing for. But especially if that, how long Spike supposedly ran away for, you have to like kind of keep it to like be one day after the other to keep them all small, because babies grow fast. And if this seems like too much, keep in mind that a lot of the plots are just super like mundane everyday things. It's just like exploded and really wondrous because like they're babies seeing this for the first time and playing and letting their imaginations explode. And that's another part, is that they're as young as can be, so time's just gonna go like way slower for them also. But yeah, that does it for the third layer. This is small, but also more interesting than the previous. Stay tuned for the next one where it's more of this, but even deeper and bizarre. See you then.